In the depths of space, far beyond the familiar orbits of Earth, Admiral Noam Thompson stood resolutely on the bridge of the UESC Nemesis. His seasoned features were illuminated by the flickering holographic display that depicted the vastness of the cosmos, a tapestry of stars twinkling like diamonds against the dark velvet of night. An alert blipped on his console, disrupting the silence of his focused thoughts. Admiral Thompson, chimed his AI assistant, its voice calm and precise. Urgent message from UESC High Command. Elysian forces have launched a full-scale invasion of human space. They've already glassed 3 outer colonies. Fleet trajectories indicate Earth is their next target. Thompson's jaw tightened as he zoomed out the holographic display, revealing the blinking red icons representing the massive Elysian fleet barreling toward the solar system. The threat loomed large, and Thompson felt the weight of impending doom settle heavily on his shoulders. If the Elysians reached Earth, it would spell the end of humanity, an extinction event that would eradicate billions of lives. The Elysian Emperor, Varys, regarded humans as mere vermin, destined for extermination. But he was blissfully unaware of humanity's secret weapon, an advanced stealth fleet lying in wait, ready to unleash humanity's fury across the stars. As the tension grew, Admiral Thompson knew he had to time their counterstrike perfectly. If he engaged too soon or too late, the stealth fleet, humanity's last hope, would be nothing more than a blip in the Elysians' path of destruction. With a deep breath, he opened a secure channel to Fleet Command. "This is Admiral Thompson. We are out of time." The aliens approached the solar system, requesting authorization to decloak the stealth fleet and engage the enemy. He waited, heart pounding, as memories of the Elysians' disdain for humanity flooded his mind. For years, they had ridiculed human progress, belittling their achievements. The first time human diplomats approached the Elysian Empire, they had been met with laughter. Emperor Varys had scoffed at the notion of humans as equals, calling them a primitive species wallowing in filth. The Elysians' arrogance had only deepened as humanity continued to advance technologically, yet they still viewed humans as dangerous animals, unworthy of respect. Thompson had always seen through their condescension, recognizing the fierce spirit that drove humanity to explore the stars. He understood that their arrogance masked a deeper fear, the fear of a united humanity rising to challenge their empire. This realization fueled his determination to build the stealth fleet in secret. Years of planning and investment had culminated in this moment, and he was ready to show the Elysians what humanity was truly capable of. "Admiral," his AI assistant interrupted, snapping him back to the present. "Fleet Command has authorized the deployment of the stealth fleet. You are cleared to engage the enemy." Nodding grimly, Thompson's eyes bore into the holographic display. "All ships, this is Admiral Thompson. Prepare to decloak on my mark. Let's show these Xeno bastards what humans are made of." As the Elysian fleet drew closer, their formations appeared relaxed, almost lazy, underestimating the threat humanity posed. Thompson felt a surge of disgust at their arrogance. The time for retribution had arrived. "All ships," he commanded, his voice steady, "move into position and prepare to decloak on my mark." Acknowledgements flooded in from the captains of the stealth fleet, and Thompson could sense their eagerness, their hunger for vengeance. As the human ships glided silently through the void, cloaked in advanced technology, they arranged themselves strategically around the Elysian fleet, forming a deadly trap designed to ensnare the aliens from all sides. "All ships," Thompson's voice resonated across the fleet, calm yet commanding, "decloak now." In an instant, the human fleet shimmered into existence, a formidable armada of sleek vessels that seemed to materialize from thin air. The Elysians reacted with shock, their formation faltering as they found themselves surrounded. On the bridge of the flagship, Emperor Varys gaped at the view screen, disbelief etched on his face. The human fleet was far larger and more advanced than any intelligence had suggested. Fury surged within him, a raw, wounded pride ignited by the sight. "All ships, open fire. Varys bellowed. "Destroy these human upstarts." But it was already too late. The human ships, fully prepared and charged, unleashed their fury upon the Elysian fleet. Thompson watched with grim satisfaction as the enemy ships began to fall, one by one. Their advanced shields absorbed the Elysian fire, while their own weapons sliced through the alien hulls with devastating precision. The battle raged on, but the Elysians were hopelessly outmatched. Their ships were slow and clumsy compared to the nimble human vessels, and their attacks were ineffectual against the well-prepared defenses of the stealth fleet. In that moment, Thompson could see the dawning realization on the faces of the alien commanders. They had gravely underestimated humanity, dismissing them as primitives. Now they were paying the price for their arrogance. The bridge of the Nemesis trembled as an Elysian ship exploded nearby, the shockwave rattling the hull. But Thompson's focus remained steadfast. He was determined to show the Elysian Empire that humanity was not to be trifled with. As the fierce space battle continued, a panicked voice crackled over the comm. "Admiral Thompson, sensors detect a group of alien ships breaking away from their main fleet. They are on a direct course for Earth." Thompson zoomed in on the offending vessels, dozens of heavy cruisers armed with orbital bombardment weaponry, racing toward the blue marble of humanity's home. His blood ran cold. Their intent was clear: to unleash destruction upon Earth's cities, to kill billions in an act of retribution. Pounding his fist against the console, he activated the fleet-wide channel. "This is Admiral Thompson. The aliens are making a run on Earth. We can't let them reach firing range. Captain Reese, I'm sending you the coordinates of those cruisers. Take your squadron and intercept them before they can threaten Earth." "Affirmative, Admiral," came Reese's response, her voice resolute despite the chaos surrounding them. As Thompson prepared for the next phase of battle, he felt a fierce determination surge within him. The Elysians had underestimated humanity for too long, and now it was time to turn the tide. He had faith in his fleet, in the crew who stood ready to defend their home against the tide of invasion. As the remnants of the alien fleet scattered in the wake of Admiral Thompson's surprise attack, the bridge of the UESC Nemesis thronged with anticipation. The air was thick with adrenaline, and the crew members exchanged glances filled with both disbelief and excitement. The sight of the Elysians, once so confident and dismissive, now struggling for survival, was almost surreal. "Captain Reese, report," Thompson commanded, turning his gaze to the tactical display. The view showed the various ships maneuvering, some trying to regroup while others fled into the vastness of space. "Admiral, we have successfully intercepted the fleeing Elysian cruisers. Their formations are breaking apart. However, their bombardment ships are still heading toward Earth. We need to engage them before they can unleash their payload," Captain Reese replied, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding outside. Thompson nodded, his mind racing with strategies. The Elysians had always underestimated human resolve, and today they were learning just how costly that mistake could be. "Let's not give them a moment's respite. All ships, prepare to engage the bombardment fleet. I want full power to our weapon systems. We can't allow them to reach Earth," he ordered, his voice resonating with authority. As the human fleet accelerated toward the incoming cruisers, the vastness of space seemed to shrink around them. The sleek vessels glided silently through the darkness, their advanced stealth technology ensuring they remained undetected until it was too late for the enemy. "Admiral, we're in range," Reese announced, her eyes glued to the tactical readouts. "Ready when you are." "On my mark," Thompson replied, heart pounding in his chest. He had waited for this moment for years, the chance to turn the tables on those who had mocked humanity's efforts. The moment came swiftly. Now, fire. A barrage of energy weapons erupted from the human fleet, beams of vibrant light streaking through the void, striking the Elysians with precision. The enemy cruisers, still reeling from their earlier defeat, scrambled to respond, but their defenses were no match for the advanced weaponry of the United Earth Coalition. Explosions lit up the darkness, illuminating the scene with flashes of orange and blue. Thompson watched with grim satisfaction as the Elysian ships began to crumble under the relentless assault. Direct hit on the lead cruiser. One of the tactical officers shouted, "Keep it up. Don't let them regroup." Thompson urged, adrenaline fueling his determination. "We need to make this count." In the heart of the battle, the Elysians began to realize that their underestimation of humanity was a grave error. Panic swept through their ranks as they witnessed the devastation wrought by the humans. Ships that had once flown confidently were now being systematically dismantled by the human fleet. "Admiral, they're beginning to send distress signals," Rees reported, a flicker of triumph in her eyes. "Good. Let them know what happens when you provoke humanity," Thompson replied, allowing himself a moment of satisfaction. He had dreamed of this day, of finally proving that humanity was not to be trifled with. The battle raged on, with the human fleet maintaining its momentum. Thompson coordinated his forces with precision, ensuring that every ship played its part in the grand strategy. He had trained for this, had planned every detail, and now it was all coming together. As the last of the Elysian cruisers fell, the remaining ships in the enemy fleet began to break formation, attempting to escape the onslaught. "Chase them down. We cannot allow them to retreat and regroup," Thompson commanded, his resolve unyielding. With his orders echoing through the comms, the human fleet surged forward, chasing the remnants of the Elysian armada. Each ship moved in perfect harmony, their sleek forms cutting through the void with deadly elegance. The captain of one of the fleeing Elysians, desperate to save his crew, made a fateful decision. He diverted his cruiser toward the nearest planetary body, hoping to hide among its moons and evade capture. However, Thompson was not about to let this chance slip away. "Target that cruiser. Let's end this," Thompson directed, watching the tactical display intently. The human fleet unleashed another wave of fire, and the Elysian ship, now fully exposed, was caught in the crossfire. It erupted in a massive explosion, debris scattering across the cold expanse of space. As the last of the enemy ships fell silent, a collective cheer erupted from the crew of the UESC Nemesis. Thompson allowed a rare smile to cross his lips, relief washing over him. They had done it. They had turned the tide against an empire that had long seen them as mere insects. "All ships, report status," Thompson commanded, grounding himself in the moment. One by one, the captains responded, their voices filled with pride and determination. The losses had been minimal, and the victory was complete. "Admiral, we're receiving a message from Fleet Command," Rees interjected, her expression shifting to one of seriousness. "Put it through," Thompson replied, his heart racing as he anticipated the news. A holographic image of Fleet Command's admiral materialized before him, their face grim yet resolute. "Admiral Thompson, this is a significant victory, but we have intelligence that more Elysian forces are en route. They will not take this lightly, and we expect a full-scale retaliation. Prepare for an incoming assault," the admiral warned. Thompson's heart sank, but his resolve only strengthened. The battle had just begun. "We'll be ready. Humanity will not back down," Thompson affirmed, determination shining in his eyes. With the echoes of victory still fresh, the human fleet turned its attention back toward Earth. The blue planet, so vibrant and full of life, was the heart of humanity, and Thompson knew that protecting it was the only option. As they sped toward their home, Thompson couldn't help but feel a sense of unity among his crew. They were more than just soldiers, they were protectors of their home and guardians of humanity's future. "Prepare to jump to hyperspace," he commanded, steeling himself for what lay ahead. The fight was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, they held the upper hand. Together, they would face whatever came next, driven by an unyielding spirit and the knowledge that they were not alone in this battle. The echoes of humanity's resilience resonated through the cosmos, and the Galactic Empire would soon learn that their arrogance had ignited a fire they could not extinguish. As the UESC Nemesis and its fleet hurtled toward Earth, the mood among the crew was a mixture of exhilaration and unease. They had struck a mighty blow against the Elysian Empire, but the warning from Fleet Command loomed heavily over them. Victory had come at a price, and they knew retaliation was imminent. Admiral Thompson stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the vastness of space outside the viewport. Stars shimmered in the darkness, indifferent to the turmoil unfolding in the galaxy. He was reminded of the fragility of peace and the burden of leadership. "Admiral," Captain Reese called, breaking his reverie. "Was scheduled for a briefing in 1 hour. Fleet Command wants to discuss our next steps and potential reinforcements." "Understood," Thompson replied, his voice steady but his mind racing. He knew the importance of that meeting, the decisions made that could determine the fate of Earth and its people. As the fleet continued its journey, Thompson took a moment to reflect on the events that had led them to this point. Just a few weeks ago, humanity was struggling to fend off the encroaching threat of the Elysian Empire, dismissed as a minor player in the galactic arena. Now they had demonstrated their capacity for fierce resistance and unyielding spirit. The crew was a blend of experienced veterans and eager newcomers, each member driven by a shared purpose. Thompson had seen their determination in the heat of battle, and it filled him with pride. He knew that they would need every ounce of that resolve in the trials ahead. In the ship's mess hall, crew members gathered, exchanging stories of the recent battle. Laughter mingled with the remnants of tension, a much-needed balm after the chaos of combat. "Did you see the look on those Elysians when we opened fire?" Lieutenant Martinez exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "They thought they could just waltz in here and take us down." "Yeah, and now they're probably scrambling to figure out how to respond," replied Ensign Chen, a newcomer still trying to find his footing. "I can't believe we actually did it." "Don't get too cocky," warned Chief Petty Officer Vargas, shaking his head. "They'll be back, and when they come, it'll be with everything they've got. We need to stay sharp." As the conversation continued, Thompson entered the mess hall, drawing the attention of the crew. "Listen up, everyone," he called, his voice firm but warm. "You fought bravely, and we've achieved a victory that many thought impossible, but we cannot afford to be complacent. The Elysians will retaliate, and we must be prepared for anything. I expect each of you to stay focused and ready. Together, we will face whatever comes next." A hush fell over the hall, and then applause erupted, the crew rallying around their leader. Thompson felt a swell of pride in his heart. They were not just fighting for themselves, they were fighting for Earth, for each other, and for the future of humanity. After the brief rally, Thompson returned to the bridge, ready to meet with Fleet Command. The atmosphere was charged with tension as he entered the conference room. Holographic displays filled the space with images of the galactic map, showing the positions of various fleets and the expected movements of the Elysian forces. "Admiral Thompson," the commanding officer began, a stern expression on his face. "We need to discuss the implications of our recent victory. While we've dealt a significant blow to the Elysian fleet, we must anticipate their next move. Intelligence indicates that they are mobilizing additional forces, including their elite battle groups." Thompson nodded, his mind racing with strategies. "What are our options for reinforcements? We need to bolster our defenses on Earth and prepare for any incoming attacks." The officer leaned over the display, highlighting several key points. "We can redirect ships from other sectors, but it will take time. Our priority must be to fortify our defenses around Earth. We also need to prepare for potential boarding actions. The Elysians have a history of deploying ground forces in surprise assaults." "Agreed," Thompson replied. "We should also enhance our surveillance to detect any incursions before they reach our perimeter. If we can anticipate their moves, we can counter them effectively." As they discussed strategies and tactics, a sense of urgency filled the room. Every decision weighed heavily on Thompson, and he knew that the lives of countless individuals hung in the balance. They had to be ready for anything, and that meant leaving no stone unturned. Later, as the meeting concluded, Thompson found himself standing on the observation deck, gazing out at Earth. The planet glowed with life, a vibrant reminder of what they were fighting to protect. But in that beauty lay the danger. If the Elysians launched a successful attack, everything could be lost. Admiral, Reese's voice broke through his thoughts. I've been reviewing the Elysian battle tactics. They tend to favor frontal assaults, but can be unpredictable when cornered. We could exploit that. Excellent point, Captain, Thompson replied, turning to face her. If we can lure them into a trap, we might be able to gain the upper hand again. We should also consider using decoys to mislead their ships. Reese nodded, her expression determined. I'll work with the engineering team to develop the necessary modifications to our ships. We need to be ready for anything. As the days passed, the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. They fortified their defenses, enhanced their technology, and drilled for combat scenarios. Each member of the crew understood the gravity of the situation, and their camaraderie grew stronger with each challenge they faced. Finally, the day arrived when the fleet would be ready to face the Elysian retaliation. The atmosphere on the UESC Nemesis was electric, the crew filled with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. Admiral, we have detected Elysian ships entering our sector, Reese reported, her voice steady. They're coming in fast. Prepare for battle stations, Thompson commanded, his heart racing. Let's show them what humanity is capable of. As the crew scrambled to their positions, Thompson took a deep breath, steeling himself for the fight ahead. He felt a surge of determination coursing through him. They were ready, and they would not back down. The UESC Nemesis and its fleet prepared to defend their home, the blue planet glimmering against the dark backdrop of space, a beacon of hope against the gathering storm. The moment of truth had arrived. The UESC Nemesis and its fleet hovered in defensive formation, their weapons primed and shields at maximum capacity. Outside the ship, the stars twinkled innocently, a stark contrast to the impending violence that loomed in the vastness of space. Admiral, we have visual contact with the Elysian fleet, Captain Reese announced, her voice unwavering. The tension in the bridge was palpable, each crew member acutely aware of the stakes at play. Thompson's heart raced as he studied the tactical displays. The Elysian ships, sleek and formidable, advanced with menacing precision. They were accompanied by a myriad of smaller crafts, lightly equipped for boarding actions. The enemy had come not just to retaliate, but to conquer. Activate the deflector shields and arm all weapons, Thompson ordered, his voice steady. Let's show them they've underestimated humanity. As the crew followed their orders, the Elysian fleet approached, forming an imposing wall of firepower. A chill ran down Thompson's spine. He couldn't shake the feeling that this battle would determine the fate of Earth. Admiral, they're transmitting a message, Reese said, her brow furrowing. The words appeared on the main screen, a mixture of alien script and stark images. Surrender now, and we shall show mercy. Resist and face annihilation. Thompson clenched his fists. They think they can intimidate us into submission. We've already shown them that humanity won't back down. Sir, their ships are beginning to power their weapons, Lieutenant Martinez reported, his eyes glued to the sensor readouts. Prepare to return fire on my mark, Thompson commanded, his pulse quickening. We'll show them that surrender is not an option. With each passing second, the Elysian fleet drew closer. Thompson took a deep breath, recalling the bond shared among his crew. They were more than just soldiers. They were a family, united by a common goal. On my mark, 3, 2, 1, fire. The UESC Nemesis erupted with a cacophony of sound as its weapons unleashed a barrage of firepower. Brilliant beams of energy streaked through space, striking the closest Elysian ships. Explosions erupted in the vacuum, lighting up the darkness like stars being born. Direct hits on their lead ship, Reese shouted, her voice ringing with triumph. But the Elysians retaliated swiftly, their return fire cutting through space with lethal intent. The Nemesis shook as enemy fire impacted its shields, sending tremors through the bridge. Shields holding at 70%, Martinez reported, his voice tense. But they're breaking through. Divert power from auxiliary systems to the shields, Thompson ordered, gripping the armrests of his chair as the ship jolted again. We need to buy time for our flanks to engage. As the battle raged, the crew fought with unmatched resolve. They had trained for this moment, each drill a preparation for the chaos now engulfing them. The screens flashed with tactical updates, the battlefield alive with action. Enemy boarding crafts are deploying. Reese warned, her expression grim. They're trying to breach our defenses. Seal all airlocks and prepare for hand-to-hand combat, Thompson commanded. We won't let them set foot on our ship. As the Elysian ships continued their assault, teams of human soldiers readied themselves for the boarding action. The corridors of the Nemesis transformed into a fortress, each crew member prepared to defend their home at all costs. Admiral, we're being flanked, Martinez shouted, the urgency in his voice piercing through the chaos. Thompson's mind raced as he strategized. We need to split our forces. Captain, lead a team to intercept the boarders. I'll coordinate our remaining ships to engage the main Elysian fleet. Understood, Reese replied, determination etched across her features. We'll drive them back. The crew sprang into action, and chaos erupted in the corridors as Elysian troops breached the ship. Human defenders met them head-on, gunfire echoing through the hallways. The fight was fierce, a whirlwind of energy blasts and hand-to-hand combat. Push them back. They will not take this ship, Reese shouted, leading her team into the fray. The fight was brutal. Elysian soldiers, equipped with advanced weaponry and armor, clashed with human defenders who fought with unwavering courage. Despite being outmatched technologically, the human spirit shone through. In the heart of the battle, Thompson coordinated efforts from the bridge. The screens flickered with images of both combat and strategy, allowing him to direct his forces with precision. Send reinforcements to Deck 5. We're losing ground, he commanded, each decision crucial to maintaining their defenses. Admiral, our flanking ships are engaging with the Elysian fleet, Martinez reported, a spark of hope in his voice. They're holding their own. Good. We need to buy more time. We can't let the Elysians gain a foothold here, Thompson said, rallying his crew. Hours seemed to stretch into eternity as the battle raged on. With each moment, the tide shifted. The human fleet, united and resolute, began to turn the tide against the Elysian forces. Admiral, we've regained control of Deck 5. Reese's voice crackled through the comms, filled with triumph. The boarders are retreating. Excellent work, Captain. Let's push them out of our ship completely, Thompson replied, his heart racing with adrenaline. As the Elysian forces faltered, Thompson seized the opportunity. All ships, focus fire on the Elysian flagship. Let's end this. The Nemesis and its allies unleashed a concentrated barrage, energy beams lancing toward the flagship. Explosions erupted around it, and the once mighty ship began to falter. Direct hit, their shields are failing, Martinez exclaimed, excitement palpable in his voice. Thompson's determination flared. Now, hit them with everything we've got. As the final shots rang out, the Elysian flagship erupted in a cataclysm of fire and metal. The crew of the UESC Nemesis erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring as victory hung in the air. But the battle was not yet over. Though they had crippled the flagship, the remaining Elysian forces were still formidable, regrouping for one last desperate attempt to overpower the humans. Admiral, they're not retreating, Reese warned, her brow furrowing. They're preparing for a final assault. Then we'll meet them head-on, Thompson declared, steeling himself for the fight ahead. We've come too far to back down now. As the remnants of the Elysian fleet readied themselves for a final push, Thompson felt the weight of leadership heavy upon him. It was not just a battle for survival, it was a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and strength. Prepared to engage, he commanded, his voice ringing with determination. This ends today. The atmosphere on the UESC Nemesis was electric as the crew braced for the final confrontation. The Elysian fleet, battered yet determined, had regrouped and was preparing for an all-out assault. Admiral Thompson stood at the center of the bridge, the weight of leadership pressing heavily upon him. "Admiral, the remaining Elysian ships are aligning for a coordinated strike," Lieutenant Martinez reported, his hands flying over the controls as tactical data streamed across the screens. "Ready our weapons and reinforce the shields," Thompson commanded, his voice unwavering. "We hold our ground here, no matter the cost." Captain Reese moved to Thompson's side, her expression fierce. "We've come too far to lose everything now. This is our moment to prove that humanity cannot be conquered." As the crew prepared for battle, Thompson glanced out the viewport. The Elysian ships loomed ominously against the backdrop of stars, their silhouettes stark and foreboding. Each vessel was a testament to their technological superiority, yet humanity had shown time, and again that spirit and determination could turn the tide of war. "On my mark, we'll launch a full counter-offensive," Thompson instructed, feeling the tension coiling in his gut. "We've beaten them before. We can do it again." The silence was palpable as the crew exchanged glances, each member feeling the unspoken bond of unity and resolve. This was more than a battle for survival. It was a fight for the very essence of humanity. "Admiral, the Elysian fleet is launching their assault," Martinez shouted, urgency flooding his voice. "Now," Thompson ordered, his heart pounding as he watched the enemy ships surge forward. The Nemesis and its fleet erupted into action, weapons firing in a dazzling array of light and sound. The battle was intense. The bridge shuddered with the force of enemy fire, yet the crew held their ground, pushing back against the relentless assault. "Direct hits on their lead ship," Reese called out, a spark of hope igniting in her eyes. "We're gaining ground. Keep pushing. Target their engines and weapon systems," Thompson commanded, a fierce determination fueling his resolve. As the two fleets clashed, the void of space became a chaotic theater of destruction. Explosions lit up the darkness as ships traded fire, each shot a testament to the fierce struggle between two worlds. The crew of the Nemesis fought valiantly, each member performing their role with precision. "Admiral, they're concentrating their fire on our starboard side," Martinez warned, his voice strained. "Shields are holding, but barely." "Divert power from life support to the shields," Thompson ordered, his mind racing. "We need to hold them off long enough to finish this." The battle raged on, and the crew began to sense a shift in momentum. The Elysian fleet, though powerful, was beginning to show signs of strain. Their formation wavered, and the human fleet pressed on, refusing to relent. "Sir, we've breached the hull of an Elysian cruiser," Reese shouted, a victorious gleam in her eye. "Good. Keep the pressure on," Thompson urged, his voice filled with adrenaline. But as victory seemed within reach, a chilling realization dawned upon him. The remaining Elysian ships were not simply retreating, they were preparing for one last, desperate maneuver. "Admiral, they're deploying their boarding crafts," Martinez exclaimed, panic creeping into his voice. "They're trying to breach our defenses again. Prepare to repel boarders. Seal all bulkheads," Thompson commanded, feeling the adrenaline spike in his veins. "We will not let them take this ship." The crew sprang into action, sealing off sections of the ship and preparing for the onslaught. Thompson could hear the thud of footsteps echoing in the corridors as Elysian troops advanced, intent on seizing the Nemesis and breaking their spirit. "Captain, lead a team to intercept the boarders on Deck 4, Thompson instructed, his gaze steady. "We need to contain them." "Understood, Admiral," Reese replied, determination etched across her features. As Reese and her team rushed to engage the enemy, Thompson returned his focus to the bridge. The battle outside continued to rage, the sounds of destruction echoing in his ears. "Reinforce the shields and prepare for evasive maneuvers," Thompson ordered, his heart pounding in rhythm with the chaos surrounding them. But just as the crew felt they were gaining control, a chilling message blared through the comm system, sending shivers down Thompson's spine. "Attention, crew of the UESC Nemesis," a cold, mechanical voice announced, reverberating throughout the ship. "You are surrounded. Surrender now, and your lives will be spared." The crew exchanged anxious glances, but Thompson steeled his resolve. "We do not surrender," he shouted into the silence that followed. "We fight for Earth, for humanity." As the ship shook from the force of enemy fire, Thompson felt the fierce determination of his crew bolster his own. Each member of the Nemesis had chosen to stand and fight against overwhelming odds, united in their resolve. "Admiral, the Elysian forces are breaking through on Deck 4, Martinez warned, his voice tense. "We need to fall back to the command center." "No, we stand our ground here," Thompson replied, his eyes ablaze with determination. "We will not let them take our ship." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Nemesis as the Elysian forces breached the inner sanctum of the ship. The sounds of combat echoed through the corridors, mingling with the cries of soldiers and the sharp cracks of energy weapons. "Hold the line," Thompson shouted, his heart racing as he prepared to engage the enemy. The bridge transformed into a battleground as Elysian soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. Thompson charged forward, his instincts kicking in as he fought fiercely to protect his crew. The chaos unfolded around him. Energy beams zipped through the air, and the clash of metal resonated as human soldiers fought against the invading Elysians. Every inch of ground was contested, and the stakes had never been higher. "Admiral, we need to fall back to the escape pods," Martinez shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. "We can't hold them off much longer." But Thompson's resolve remained unshaken. "No, we fight until the last breath. This is our home." With a fierce determination, the crew rallied behind their leader, pushing back against the invaders with all their strength. They fought for each other, for Earth, and for a future free from tyranny. As the battle reached its fever pitch, Thompson felt a surge of hope. They had come so far, endured so much, and they would not falter now. The crew of the UESC Nemesis embodied the resilience of humanity, a spirit that refused to be extinguished. "Together," Thompson roared, a rallying cry that resonated throughout the chaos. "Together we will overcome." Summary. In this part, the battle reaches a critical climax as the Elysian fleet launches a coordinated assault on the UESC Nemesis. Admiral Thompson and his crew face overwhelming odds, yet they refuse to back down, fighting fiercely to protect their ship. As Elysian forces breach the ship, chaos ensues, and Thompson's leadership is put to the test. Despite the dire circumstances, the crew remains united, showcasing the indomitable spirit of humanity in the face of adversity.